You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 21st meeting for the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening and welcome to the Michigan City Common Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. I ask that you will please silence all of your electronic devices and please join the council in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, on roll call, please.
Mr. Beatrice.
Present.
Mr. Coulter.
Present.
Mr. Dabney.
Present.
Dr. Moore.
Present.
Ms. Lee. Present. Ms. Moldenauer.
Present.
Mr. Nelson.
Present.
Mr. President Valinsky. And
Present.
Ms. Tillman.
Present.
We have 9 present and no one absent.
And we do have a quorum and the meeting shall move forward. We have on our agenda approval of minutes, the regular council hybrid Zoom, April 7, 2026, executive session minutes, April 6 of 2026. Have the council had an opportunity to review the minutes and if there are any corrections?
Motion to approve. Support.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. President Valinsky.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
And Dr. Moore.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
And the approval of the minutes has passed. Next, we have reports of standing committees. Finance Committee meeting.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. President. The Finance Committee meeting for tonight was canceled due to there being no claims on the docket for approval. But I do want to read out for the public the balances for the 2026 Riverboat and Rainy Day Fund statement of cash position. As of tonight, the Riverboat Fund balance is $5,150,903.74. And the Rainy Day Fund, $1,321,810.42 for a total of $6,472,714.16.
Thank you, Councilman Dabney. Next, we have reports from boards and commissions. I would ask if Mr. Clarence Hulse of EDCMC Director come to present his annual report.
Good evening, Council President and Council. Clarence Hulse, EDCMC Director to Cadence Park Plaza.
Good evening.
There you go. You have in your packet a number of items which I will leave with you. Our annual report, which is this binder that has a lot more detailed information you can use and look at your leisure. You also have a copy of tonight's presentation and also a list of some of the current developments going on in the city. These are currently under construction and a couple of items under discussion that we can talk about later. Also an invitation to a groundbreaking ceremony this Thursday at 3 p.m. the Aldrich Building. You should have gotten an email about 2 weeks ago on that one. And also a copy of our current market profile, just for information of some of the great things we have in our city. So just for information. Tonight, I want to run through a quick slide presentation to kind of show you some of the items from last year that we were able to work with and with some of our partners. We're very fortunate to really have a great team of people in our city, both residents, business, community leaders who are really trying to move the city forward. And so I tell people, we don't do these things by ourselves. We have a lot of people who are working with us to make these things happen. Various government department heads, of course, City of Mission City, county, nonprofits, investors. So there's residents who are trying to make these things happen. So on your screen shows our mission and also our vision. That has not changed. That's our kind of our objective and vision for the next until 2040. We're trying to move our city forward. Double track. The reason why I always bring this up, this has probably been, I call it a game changer for not only Mission City, but the whole region. Having $1.6 billion of federal funds in your community, of which $650 million was spent between Mission City and Gary for the 16 miles of new track. We got 14 additional train scheduled during the week to Chicago, 67 minutes to downtown Chicago. This is making a lot of changes in the city and the region because now people are looking at us as a place to come and invest their dollars. And so I never want to underestimate or undervalue what this has meant for Michigan City. A lot of things that we thought would happen in 20 years are now happening within 10 years because of this. And so this has really sped up the process for development in our city. That's a snapshot of the last 10 years, except for Shoreline. Most of those have been coming to the city within the last 10 years. And so you have a lot of new tourism, restaurant, retail, and small business within our downtown over the last 10 years. Again, the city is moving, and with some of the tools put together with the TIF district, the facade program, and different programs that have been in place, a lot of small businesses are now moving into our downtown and also Midtown. Just another snapshot for the last 10 years, last 5 years of some of our projects. Those of you who have been here for a while, councils who this is your second or third term, you remember when there was really nothing going on downtown except plywood on the storefront and graffiti, and I mean, so the city is changing. I know people show pictures of 1950 when it was wonderful and all that stuff, and then the city kind of died, and now we're seeing the city coming back. It's different than 1950s, but it's coming back. Last year alone, we were able to do 1.3 billion in the city, and we'll talk a little more about that. But I want you to look at the focus on the picture, center, middle. We're going through pictures right now in our office and have asked a few residents who's got old pictures. We want to start looking at what the city was looking like 10 years ago and look at what it looks like today. So we'll have another slideshow on that in soon, but look at Brewbox, what they did the last 2 years on that location. So a lot of the buildings downtown used to look like that. So we want to start documenting that really and talk about what the city has been and what are some of the changes the last 10 years, because I think it's really, really positive overall that the city is changing. A lot of people who are living here are looking to invest back in the city and they want to stay here. So that's positive. This is our pride and joy. This is something that people thought would never happen in Michigan City. This project is about to be closed out. The crane was taken down last week, and they're looking to have this project finished by July 1st of 2026. Moving date is starting towards the end of August. We have 115 reservations, and so that's half of 220 units. The goal is to have this building filled by the end of the year. So expect to have about 300 people living downtown by the end of the year. Again, this will change schedules downtown, opening hours of restaurants, because if you think about it, people are coming home, they don't want to go cook. What they're going to do? They're going to be walking downtown, trying to find a place to go eat. And so this, along with some other stuff you've had in your packet of what's coming towards the downtown in the future, but we're looking for amenities where you can have fun after hours, electronic arts type venues, more venues where you could just come and hang out in the downtown. Again, just trying to make the city a complete downtown. Looking at a pharmacy in the future for downtown. So there's a lot of those things we're looking at. How do you make the downtown complete? Well, you need to start having those different types of venues in the downtown. Just a shot of what the construction has looked like, and I give kudos to the city for really saving the entrance. That's a real big statement of our heritage, and I'm glad we were able to get that saved. I know there was a lot of discussion back and forth, but it cost a little extra, but it was done, and I think I'm glad we did it. So. Definitely owed to the past. Just want to document again a snapshot of what's happening in construction across the city. Over 2,000 units permitted or under construction over for the next 5 years. I just want to highlight the upper right corner. That's our first subdivision in 50 years. With the city, we did build homes one-off here and there, but never have a complete platted subdivision. And so again, that's something to be proud of, that people actually took a chance on our city and they built almost 20 and they're selling. So let's keep doing that. Again, just shots from 2025 of projects that we were able to celebrate, and that's still in that. Some of them are still in the construction, but for the most part, as you can tell, the city is rapidly going through a lot of development. Lower left, Century Bank will be claiming the old Fifth Third building soon. Over 25 employees downtown. Again, we'll have more professional workers working in the downtown. 7-Eleven Plaza, we've talked to them about doing some kind of mini sports bar, but some kind of electronic arts center in the downtown. Again, lots of different ideas, and they're pulling their permits, so they're actually moving forward. Business parks. One of the things people talk about is jobs, and so we're always trying to find ways to bring more jobs to the city. I know the council already approved the project on the right side. That's the many buildings for the flex space, 11 buildings off Cleveland. That's roughly $31 million and roughly 200 jobs when it's all completed. Again, starting this year. On the left, we're working with a developer to do about 1 million square feet, roughly $115 million project, 7 buildings. And I will tell you right now, they can't get the market fast enough. We've got people looking to move here. We also have companies who are here looking to expand, who want to stay here. And so they're looking to see this park develop because we need to have more space for a larger industry in the city and creating more jobs. And so right now, having this move forward is going to be key to having large companies, industrial companies in the city. And so they're looking at building 7 buildings on that site off Highway 20, Southeast Highway 20. That's the data center. We can now call it the Google Data Center. That was announced last week, but $832 million on a former Brownfield site that's now being transformed. Again, lots of benefits to the city in the future. Too much to say right now, but they are looking to be more engaged in the community and talk about having meetings moving forward. So we're trying to encourage that and trying to make that happen in the community in the next few months. Just a snapshot of, well, on the right side, things we did last year. I tell people we do a lot of meetings all the time, so we always list the meetings. We try to list all the meetings we have, meetings with industry, local business, workforce meetings, business meetings with our partners. But also last year we were in the top 10 of places to live in the United States for small towns, and also top number 9 in Indiana to live. So again, Michigan City is getting a lot of kudos from other people from across the country. Coming soon, this project continues to move forward. They're about 80% building a capital stack, working with the state, with the commission, looking at financing from different sources. They've been out on the land, drilling holes in the ground, doing all the geotech that need to be doing. We had to do a phase 2 for an old gas station. We found out on the east part of the site. So you find out things as you start doing development, things that you didn't know exist. So we're working through that with them right now, but the goal is to do this in 2 phases. First phase is 250 units, and that is supposed to start late spring next year. This project continues to go through the review process. Small project, but right in the middle of downtown, and they're looking to hopefully start this fall. Again, a snapshot of some of the things we've done in the past year. We went through a 3rd power breakfast last year. This year was the 4th, but last year we had 160 people last year. This year, 300. So obviously something is going on in Michigan City. People are wanting to come here and hear what's going on. We got a 3rd Brownfield grant from the EPA, $500,000 to spend over the next 2 years to do first phase 1 and 2 assessment in Michigan City. Also, we have developer days here, bringing folks here to learn about what's going on, how to invest. We had about 50 people late fall last year who came here to town. Hitachi Solar celebrated its 60th anniversary by donating a mural, Michigan Boulevard. And again, just working with our partners, the SBDC, the Michigan City Chamber, to do small business roundtables to understand how to assist small business. We have a fellow, Miss Tracy Clark Jeffries. She's been with us a year and a half. She's been very instrumental in helping us with our small business development, with our Vibrant Business City program. Very talented fellow, and we're excited to have her. Her term ends up end of this summer, so we're trying to use her as much as possible. But she's been very good to working with us in the community to make things happen. So if anybody has not spoken to Tracy, please give her a call. She's always willing to talk to somebody. We continue to work through the Vibrant Business City process as we have sent 7 folks from the community to Ball State Community Development course. We've also completed 2 Neighborhood Leadership Academy. We're hoping to do one this fall, and we're working with to provide a boot camp for entrepreneurs this summer. Also working to figure out how do we develop a place for community, but a entrepreneurship center for our small business in the city, working with SBDC and PNW. So working on that right now. This year, we're planning on bringing Ball State to Michigan City. So you'll be hearing more about that. But instead of sending people out, it's cheaper to bring them here. So that's the goal, is to bring them here to town for 3 days to do community development courses. So that'll be out there soon. We also are working to do a full 2-week boot camp for our kids this summer in Michigan City, working with entrepreneurs, and again, work with the mayor's office to provide grants for neighborhoods and also small business. So again, lots of things in the works. We're just trying to get there right now. Not to brag, but I think Michigan City is a small town punching above its weight class. We can brag about almost $2 billion in the last 4 years that's being spent in the city, and that's going to have impact to our residents, both in jobs, investment, but also future taxes to Michigan City. So we're excited to say that the city is really moving forward in all 8 cylinders, and the council and the mayor is part of all that. We continue to follow the 2040 plan. Those of you who were involved 2 years ago to get this going, the plan is still relevant. We're still trying to get companies here that are involved in technology, healthcare, electronics, robotics. We're still working to be a year-round city, a safer, cleaner, beautiful city. We want to make sure we have everything for our residents and attract more residents to our community. Again, attainable housing, market rate housing, we need to keep pushing that button. Workforce development, opportunity hub, moving forward. We just applied as part of the Ready 3.0 for $3.5 billion. This is more towards art and cultural. And so we're working to ensure that there's more murals and sculptures and art related topics within our community. So that's what they're applying with the state and the 2 other counties in the region. So we are hoping to get some funding for that. We will know in about 6 months. Trying to make sure we can get a business and tech center to help small business in our community. The prison study is still moving forward. We've been having trouble getting access. As you're probably aware, there's been some issues going on over there. So it's been tough to get in. So, but we need to do one more site visit before we can finish the final study. Working with NIPSCO and Market Mall. As you're aware, Tunnel Blank has bought Market Mall. We're working with them to look at what that could look like. They're looking at a major medical campus. And so at some point, this council will be made aware of what that could look like. They're looking at, there's drawings and drafts right now. They're going through all that process to figure out what they got, the environmental, the assessment. So they're working hard, but they're good developers. They'll figure it out. But we're excited that that site is now can be a real economic impact for our city. And we're trying to ensure we can get high-wage jobs for our community, and healthcare is one of those. There's a lack of healthcare. There's demand for healthcare jobs in this region and Michigan City. There's demand for manufacturing jobs, skilled jobs, and technology jobs. And so we're excited to see that. And we just want to let you know that we're happy to be celebrating 30 years at the EDCMC. It's, I can't believe it. I celebrated 25 years, 5 years ago, and you blink and it's 5 years later, we're celebrating 30 years. So it's been a good run working with the city, and we want to keep that going. I want to thank my staff. Please stand and stay standing. My board, who's here, city staff who's been good to work with, my board of directors who's here, and those of you who are investors, people who have been through our classes, please stand. So, people who we work with or investors, please stand because let people know who you are. You invest in the EDC. And so please, we thank you for the thing you do for us. So, and I'll be remiss to not thank this council and the mayor for believing in us and keeping work with us because, like I said, we don't do anything by ourselves. We have a small staff, but we get involved in a lot of things. And there's a lot of community leaders, nonprofits we work with, the Chamber of Commerce, SBDC, and we all work together for the benefit of Michigan City. So,
Are there any comments from the council? Dr. Cora?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank you for an excellent presentation and all the work that you've been doing. And I've been watching you as an investor for the past many years and also as a council member and now as a member of the board. And this is an extraordinary accomplishment over the last 4 years that to attract close to $2 billion. And I'm particularly pleased with the focus on housing that you and the mayor have brought to bear, because over the years I have seen a lot of people have complained that we had an old stock of housing, and now with all these new housing developments going on, I think we'll be able to attract new families, young families into our area, which will be good for the future of our community. And so I'm very, very pleased and thank you for your leadership. And I also want to thank the staff as well as all the board members. There are many people who contribute to this effort, and without economic development, there is no future. So thank you for being a part of it. I'm very, very pleased. Thank you.
Councilwoman Lee?
Thank you, Madam President. Clarence, thank you for this great presentation, and thank you and your whole team for all of the wonderful things that you do in Michigan City. A lot of people tend to focus on the big things, the 11th Street or, the solar project, but you do a lot of smaller projects too. And I appreciate that you added those in here. And I was wondering if you all could make like a handout or a flyer that we could share online with all of the smaller developments also, so that the community is aware of everything that the city is doing and that you all are doing, and not focus only on those big projects, which are great. But these smaller ones, I think, have a lot of impact on the local community too.
yeah. I thank you for that. We will do that. And I will say, you have to be blind today to drive around Michigan City and see there's dirt being turned, there's a building being with hammers and trucks, and stuff. There's a lot of development going on across the whole city, and not by outsiders, by locals who are actually now improving their property, which I think is awesome for the city.
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, thank you, Clarence. Nice presentation, and you and your staff do a fantastic job. One of the things that I know that there's housing being developed and built in different areas of the town, but one thing that I would really like to see a focus on are jobs, good paying jobs, try to get them into Michigan City. And I'm sure you have been. I don't know what the secret is, but we need good paying jobs in Michigan City. That's what I continuously hear, out in the public, out in, at the council meetings, I hear it. So that's one. The other thing is, my concern is with the prison, because the last I had heard about the prison is that our Governor Braun was going to turn that into an ICE housing facility. Is that still true to nature, or?
I heard that rumor too, and we did ask them about that. They told us they had no plans to do that. The handover is still on pause, and we've been told to continue to study. So we want to make sure that if and when they change their mind, we have a document ready.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, quick question. When you were going through the presentation and you gave the date for the 11th Street housing,
July 26th of this year is when they complete the project, and then August is when they start to move in. It'll be a process of probably 3 or 4 months to move everybody in.
Yeah, I just wanted to really have that date put out there so people can hear that again, because
There's a place for you.
that was I've been hearing a bunch of other things, 2027 and so forth. But I'm glad you put that date out there. So that is now.
Next 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
The cranes have come down. They were here before the Board of Works to have for permission to block the streets to take the cranes down. And so those are now down. And so if you look at the building, the whole building has been sealed.
Yeah.
Because they're working inside. And the goal is to have all the finishes done by the end of July.
Thank you.
Councilman Beatrice?
I echo what everybody else has said. Thanks for the program, and most I appreciate the things that you've given us here. And I wish that everybody who's out there and everybody in Michigan City actually could get a copy of all of these things, because it's amazing that you've been able to put it all together in a couple documents. I haven't seen something like this where, you know, things are going on, and you're right. You can drive around Michigan City, you see all kinds of things going up, and you'd be blind if you can't see the progress is being made. But despite that, there's still a lot of people in Michigan City who are naysayers and doubters, and they live here and think Michigan City is really not doing anything special. It's the people that visit here that go crazy and say, wow, you guys are going nuts. And a lot of the things that have been done are in here. And it's refreshing and to see them all in one place. And every time I turned a page, I saw something that I wanted to bring to someone's attention, because there are people who come here and say there's no industry, there's no manufacturing in Michigan City. Well, clearly there is, and there's more coming. So just a great job, and thanks for being here tonight. And it's very refreshing and very inspiring.
Thank you. And just so you're aware, for everybody who's hearing me, edcmc.com has the last 5 years of our annual reports, and this is already on there. So you can download it if you want to. And tonight's presentation will also be on there. So we make sure it's on our website. So.
Great.
Councilwoman Morgenauer?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Hulse, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and your team and your board, because it takes all of you working together with us and the mayor to make this happen. I'm blown away by the multi-million-dollar projects that are going on, and some of them in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's going to make a big difference in our community. It's not only during the construction phase, we're going to be providing housing for people that want to live here in Michigan City. I know of people that work in Michigan City, but they've had to go to Chesterton and Valparaiso to find the kind of apartments or houses that they're looking for. So this is going to help keep our citizens here, so they're not having to make that commute every day. Also, I'm happy to see, I don't call it affordable housing, I call it attainable housing. That means people who have the jobs as teachers, firemen, policemen, whatever, they're going to be able to afford to live in these apartments, in these homes. And that's movement in the right direction for our community. I also would invite people to get to know the small business owners that are here, that own the restaurants, own the shops, and talk with them about why they invested in Michigan City and how they see our community. And it's really a refreshing breath of fresh air. They believe in us even when we're not believing in ourselves yet, but I know we're going to get there. So everybody that's a resident here in Michigan City, or in some way as a part of our community, congratulations to each and every one of you, and to each and every one of us. It takes all of us together. Thank you.
And lastly, I would just like to concur with every statement that the other council members and persons have made. But I would like to just add on to that is the north and the south parts of the city is thriving and developing. And I would like to see, which I'm seeing, and things are coming into fruition. This is also going to happen on the east side of Michigan City. Keep that in mind. It's slowly processing, but it is coming. We're looking at Michigan Boulevard. We're looking at the infrastructure on the east side of the town. I know, Mr. Hulse, you had on here the latest development updates in Michigan City. There's two things that is coming forth on Michigan Boulevard. We have, which actually is conjoined with your ward, it's Tootsie Chicken and Fish Bar and Restaurant on Michigan Boulevard, which was former Creekside location. And we have Jimmy John's expanding into the Eastgate Plaza on Michigan Boulevard and Carroll Ave.
And also on the west side, we're looking over there for housing infill, and there's a future coffee shop over there too. So it's spreads. I mean, for a long time it was just the north side, and that's where people were spending money. But we're seeing it's now jumped to the south side and southeast, and so now it's coming back to fill from north and south, and it's coming to the middle. So, I mean, that's how the patterns are developing. So, which is great.
Well, Mr. Holtz, we thank you for this wonderful presentation, your annual report.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have the Tree Board Commission 2026 Annual Report presentation.
I would like to introduce Jennifer Birchfield, who's the current chair of the Michigan City Tree Board. And I have the pleasure of being their liaison last year and this year. And I want to recognize Dr. Cora, who was their liaison previously also. And Jennifer is going to have a very exciting report for us. Trees, trees, and more trees.
Trees, trees, and more trees. I was going to start by saying, I think I can make the case that trees are economic development. If I had enough time, I think I could make the case to you guys. So I did want to, of course, thank Councilperson Moldenauer, who is our current council liaison and tremendously helpful, attending meetings and, advising on all things council related for the tree board. I also recognize Dr. Cora as well, who was the previous liaison to the tree board, and also a wonderful help. So I'm going to go through a couple of things that are in your packet. I have some talking points on your first page, but then some follow-up materials with additional information. So I will be taking you through the $1 million grant that Michigan City received in 2004. We've made a lot of progress on that grant to improve the urban forest in Michigan City, improving public safety, and also providing community benefits. I'll talk about a few other smaller initiatives, but really important ones that the tree board is undertaking. I'd like to begin on that note with the second page in your packet. This is a proclamation for Arbor Day that was issued by Mayor Angie, and I'd like to read it for you. I forgot to say Happy Earth Month and happy upcoming Arbor Day. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 following J. Sterling Morton's call to action to plant trees as a means of strengthening communities and improving the environment, sparking a tradition that continues to grow more than a century later. And whereas in 2026, Arbor Day will be commemorated for the 154th time, reminding communities across the nation of the lasting environmental, economic, and social value of trees. And whereas Michigan City recognizes that its urban forest is a vital public resource that enhances neighborhood livability, supports environmental sustainability, protects public safety, and contributes to the unique character of the community. And whereas in 2024, Michigan City was awarded a $1 million grant from the U.S. Forest Service to conduct a comprehensive citywide tree study and make strategic investments in the long-term health and resilience of the city's tree canopy. And whereas through this investment, Michigan City is actively improving public safety, environmental quality through the ongoing removal of approximately 350 hazardous trees and the planting of approximately 1,500 new trees in parks, right-of-ways, and neighborhoods throughout the city. And whereas these efforts are guided by data-driven planning and carried out through the dedicated work of the City Forester and Tree Board, whose stewardship helps ensure a healthier, safer, and more sustainable urban forest for future generations. Now, therefore, I, Angie Nelson Deitch, Mayor of Michigan City, Indiana, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 24th, 2026, as Arbor Day in Michigan City, and call upon residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations to join in celebrating Arbor Day by planting trees, caring for existing trees, and supporting efforts that grow and protect Michigan City's urban forest for the benefit of generations to come. So we do thank the mayor. We thank Mayor Angie for issuing this proclamation. I will also note that Mayor Angie worked collaboratively with the tree board to submit our 25th annual certification as a tree city. Michigan City is in its 25th year. We celebrated this year the 25th year of tree city status. With that, I would like to cover the next part of your packet here is the most recent grant report that was submitted to the U.S. Forest Service on our current $1 million grant that is currently underway. You can certainly look in there for some visuals as well as additional details to what I'm providing. But I'd like to go through the highlights. In 2004, Michigan City did receive a $1 million grant with no matching funds required, which is always nice. The period of the grant is March of 2024, and it does go through December 31st of 2029, although work is moving along quite quickly. This is a grant that was written by the tree board and city staff in collaboration. The overall goal of the project is to improve quality of life in disadvantaged communities in Northwest Indiana by, specifically Michigan City in our case, by improving capacity for and reducing barriers to sound and sustainable urban forestry. I have this broken down primarily by the tasks of the grant that we are to deliver. Task A is urban forest inventory planning and prioritization. This task is largely complete. Great Lakes Urban Forestry was contracted to complete an inventory of all public trees in Michigan City in January of 2025. Over the course of 2025, 13,009, so let's just say 14,000 trees were mapped and entered into the GIS database, along with 682 stumps and 600, let's just say 7,000 is a nice round number, 7,000 plantable spaces. So this is a wonderful resource to have as a GIS database. And maintaining it into the future, it will really put us ahead in terms of, when we do make investments, we can spread those investments equitably throughout the city. We can take a look at, which areas of the city have lower tree canopy and might benefit from additional tree canopy. We can look at where communities may be struggling with hazardous or high-risk trees and prioritize our resources in those areas. Data does include hazardous tree assessments according to ISA's best management practices for risk assessment. City staff do have access to the GIS tool, which is being updated continuously. And there is also a publicly facing version of the inventory located on the tree board's webpage. The city forester, who I should also thank because the city forester, Phil Graff, has been wonderful to work with and just really plowed through the many tasks of this grant this year. He has used then this inventory to draft an urban forestry management plan and also do some LiDAR-based canopy cover analysis. This information was then used to prioritize planting and removals for 2026, as well as some in 2025. I will note that the city forester is currently working with the public works director, city lawyer, and tree board to review and update our city's tree ordinances to really simplify them and make some improvements to tree-related ordinances. Task B is public engagement. This is largely under the purview of the tree board. This is really where we've been active in this grant in addition to just kind of providing support and input. We did work with the mayor and city staff to develop a community engagement plan that focuses on engaging residents through existing popular city events. We did develop a questionnaire to gather input from city residents on their feelings and preferences regarding trees. It also allows for providing optional contact information if people would like to get involved. Let's see. We also worked to develop a flyer covering the grant as well as other urban forestry efforts, and we have received some press coverage. Task C and Task D is really where the work gets done. Mitigation of tree hazards and obstacles to planting and preparation of plantable spaces. This work is well underway. The city forester, as I mentioned, did prioritize hazardous trees for removal based on the tree inventory. To date, 350 trees determined to be either in poor condition and or at high risk of failure were removed in the stump's ground. This is very important because hazardous trees can be a liability. They can injure people. So really something important. Everybody likes to plant trees. That's really feel good. But addressing those aging trees is really important. Replanting. The city forester prioritized 500 plantable spaces that were planted in the fall of 2025. They were selected based on the greatest need in areas with less tree canopy. So those trees have been planted and mulched, and they will be watered by a contractor for 2 years. That contract has been awarded to water those trees in this summer. Watering trees the first 2 summers after planting them increases the survival rate significantly. We see about a 90% success rate with planted trees as long as they are watered and maintained. And without that initial few years investment in watering, the rate is far lower, potentially even 50%. And finally, task E, arborist certification and urban forestry trainings for municipal staff. Municipal staff have received training in proper pruning and other urban forestry best practices. The city forester does continue to train municipal staff in best practices. And we do have some funds available still in the grant that interested city staff are being encouraged to pursue additional urban forestry trainings as authorized by the Public Works Director and City Forester. So that generally summarizes the status of the grant. Planting is ongoing, and plans are underway for planting additional trees this spring, as well as some additional tree removals. I'd like to just touch on a couple of other actions underway by the tree board. In addition to these trees that are being planted through the grant, a smaller amount of trees are being planted by the tree board with focus on planting in public schools, public schoolyards. The idea being that those spaces cannot be planted through these grant funds, which must be spent on city properties, public properties. So we're supplementing with doing tree plantings with the local schools, getting the dual benefit of engaging youth in urban forestry. We do an annual tree sapling giveaway. Last year, we gave away 500 saplings at the Earth Month extravaganza, as well as the farmers market. This year, we will be giving away at least 400 trees at those 2 same events. So come out on Saturday if you'd like to get a free tree. We did receive the Mayor's Beautification Grant, which we used to develop an interactive inventory maps for engagement. What we did is basically take the existing inventory that was completed of city trees and make them more public facing, simplify them a little bit so that it's something that someone can go to a park, scan a QR code that will be posted on a sign, and walk through and see what trees are present at that site. They can then link to a website for more information on that species, fun facts about it, photos of it, its requirements. So we have developed those for several sites. Next in your packet, you should have a few handouts that are being printed. Detailing the Michigan City self-guided tree tours. Actually, not detailing them, but just making people aware of them, that they can go access them. So to date, tours have been developed for Gardena Park, Hanson Park, Krieger Memorial Park, Pullman Park, and Washington Park. Additionally, we have developed, it's on a separate flyer, but we have developed for Barker Middle School and Krieger Middle School, self-guided tree tours on their campus. And I did put together a separate little kind of a tool that could be used by teachers so that students can go out and use this to identify and find the species located at their school. Let's see, I did already mention that we worked with city staff and the mayor to renew the 25th year of Tree City certification, so that's a great milestone. Arbor Day proclamation again coming up this Friday. I hope you can get outside and celebrate Arbor Day. There will be plenty of opportunities to plant and engage with trees at the Earth Month extravaganza on Saturday. I believe there will be a tree planting at Walker Street Community Garden, as well as our tree giveaway at the event. And with that, I will conclude by saying I'd like to thank the other tree board members. We have a really great team. We have two certified ISA certified arborists, myself and another member, Betsy Ellisesser. I always mispronounce her name. Our city forester is also a certified arborist, so we certainly have the necessary expertise within the city. And one of my priorities for the coming year is that $1 million grant is wonderful and it's gone a long way. It's going really well. I think that inventory will be an amazing tool for the city. It's really sound planning from the very beginning. But if you caught some of my numbers, we identified 7,000 plantable spaces in the city, and I'm not sure how many potentially hazardous trees that need to be addressed. So my priority is to continue to seek additional grants so that we can continue this momentum that we've started with this initial $1 million investment.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Are there any comments from the council? Dr. Cora?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank Jennifer Birchfield. I've served with you on the tree board, and I've been very impressed with the passion all of you bring to the trees, similar passion that Clarence brings to economic development. So thank you for your service. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Lee?
Thank you, Madam President. Jennifer, thank you for your presentation and for all your hard work. I'm looking forward to the leaves coming out so that I can take my classes out and use this inventory. I told a couple of my classes about it, and there were some sparks of interest.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
We got middle school students excited. I mean,
So thank you for everything.
thank you.
Councilwoman Moldenauer?
Thank you, Madam President. Jennifer, you and what the tree board and our forester has accomplished is mind-blowing. Every meeting I go to, it's just moving so quickly and so professionally and so comprehensively. It's really impressive. And I think what you're doing is a blueprint that can be shared with other surrounding communities that haven't taken trees as important. And I just want to mention just a couple things about the importance of trees. They do absorb carbon, which cleans our air. They do provide healthier air. So we're breathing better if we live in a neighborhood that has lots of trees. And they do provide coolness in the summertime. So the more trees you have around your residence, the cooler it's going to be inside and the less your air conditioning bill is going to be. So trees are our friends. And we should do everything we can do to plant more of them in Michigan City and to especially take care of the ones we have. Instead of waiting for a professional waterer or somebody from the city to come around and water a tree, if you see it's wilting and it's in your neighborhood, give it some first aid. It needs some water. So thank you very much for joining in with our tree board and everybody else on staff in Michigan City. And I want to mention Wendy Veche because she's been an important part of the team also. Really, kudos to you. 5 stars, or I should say 5 green trees.
Yes. Thank you so much. And yes, I agree. I will say that Wendy Veche has been absolutely phenomenal to work with. The Public Works being the entity really administering the contracts under this grant. I will piggyback on what was just said about the value of trees. I do not have the numbers in front of me because we are still planting. But when the planting through this grant is finalized, we will be estimating some dollar amounts that are provided by an investment of this nature in trees. I don't have those ready, but once the planting is complete, I would love to share those numbers with you. I think you'll be surprised at the economic benefit in terms of stormwater, in terms of energy usage by providing shade and windbreaks. Just a phenomenal economic investment in our city.
And we have Councilman Przybylski.
Yeah, Jennifer and you and the whole tree board, thank you for everything that you guys are doing with the trees. I've noticed it right off the bat with the new trees being planted throughout the city. And I know that they're just little bitty trees right now, but in a few years from now, I think the neighborhoods will appreciate it. They'll be more beautiful than what they are now because you're going to have these beautiful trees. And as far as Arbor Day goes, I remember giving out trees for my previous employer. We used to give out 1,500 pine tree saplings every Arbor Day. So yeah, I'm well in tune with that, and I think that's a great thing for the city. So keep up the good work. Oh, and I also have to. You mentioned his name, Phil Graff,
Yes.
the city arborist. I worked with him on a couple issues, and he's very professional and a dynamic guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm glad he's on board with the city.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? If there are none, Jennifer would like to thank you so much for your 2026 annual report.
Thank you.
Next.
I have two announcements for the Sustainability Commission. Yeah, we're still under.
Yeah, okay. Going back to the agenda. Do we have any other reports from boards and commissions? Councilwoman? Oh,
Hi, Darrell Borton, Chairman of the Human Rights Commission. Just a reminder, Thursday, May 7th is our annual dinner. Dr. Cora has been named Human Rights Chairman, Human Rights Humanitarian of the Year. Congratulations, Dr. Cora. We do have sponsorships because we do give away 3 $1,000 scholarships. We got sponsorships for $300. If anybody wants to help out with one of them, please see me after the meeting. Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I'm on the LaPorte County Alcohol and Beverage Commission. I just want to say, that Tootie's Chicken and Fish that you mentioned on the boulevard, that's going to be really nice. I got to meet the owner when we approved his permit. We want to get that southeast corridor of the boulevard rocking again. What I really want to read you just a portion of the recently passed Senate Bill 260. We need to start using this. Senate Bill 260, Alcohol and Tobacco Commission permits. It allows the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission to refuse or grant or renew or suspend or revoke a permit of a licensed premises if it becomes a public nuisance or engages in certain criminal conduct. Allows the commission to temporarily suspend an alcohol beverage retail permit if certain crimes are committed on the licensed premises, and one of the following applies. The permit holder failed to take reasonable action to prevent the occurrence of a crime. Multiple crimes have occurred on the licensed premises in the last 12 months. 3. Continued operation of the licensed premises would pose a clear and immediate danger to the safety of the community or the general public. Requires the commission to provide immediate notice of the permit holder of time and place of a hearing or suspension, and to hold a hearing no later than 5 business days after the permit is suspended. So, it's kind of one of the ill effects we've had when the state allowing the sale of alcohol at the gas stations and convenience stores. We have a couple here in Michigan City that we need to revoke their alcohol. I don't think they should be selling alcohol with some of these. So just thank you.
Before we go any further, I'm going to ask once again, would you please all silence all electronic devices, even if that means putting it on mute for any further interruptions? Thank you. Do we have any more reports from boards and commissions? Councilwoman Moulton.
I got a little anxious because I saw Madam President put a check mark by this particular line item, so I apologize. I'm sorry. I just have 2 very brief announcements from the Michigan City Sustainability Commission. As Jennifer mentioned, this Saturday is our Earth Month extravaganza, and this is the 5th year we've been doing this. It's going to be held at the Senior Center from noon until 3 o'clock. We'll begin activities at 9 o'clock over at the Walker Street Community Garden. If you have never been there, this is a really great opportunity to visit there and help plant some trees. Also at 10 o'clock, we're going to start a beach cleanup, which will originate at the senior center. There's going to be the tree giveaway, electric vehicle showcase, informational displays, guided hikes, games, crafts, and more. Bring seeds if you have them. You'd like to trade them. If you don't have seeds to bring, you can take some away with you anyhow. And there's going to be a sports equipment swap. We know how quick kids grow out of their shoes or they need equipment because they're taking up a new sport or whatever. So you can bring those to trade. And if you don't have anything to trade, you can take something, if your kids or grandkids need whatever. Look forward to seeing you there. Last year we had 400 people. We're looking for 500 this year. So bring 10 friends with you when you come. And then also the last thing I want to mention is on Saturday, May 9th from 1 to 2:30 p.m., we're going to be holding our pollinator garden planting workshop. That's also going to be at the senior center. We're going for what's called a Hoosier Habitat Challenge. With the National Wildlife Federation, we're trying to get the whole state of Indiana certified as a native habitat. And we're going to be the first in the whole country. So anything anybody can do to help us out with that, please. When you come to the workshop, it's going to be just a little bit of explanation because it'll be hands-on. You're going to get to leave with one or a couple or maybe more native plants that you can take and plant in your yard at home, or with permission, you could plant them at your school, public park, house of worship, wherever. So we're really wanting to green up the city and support our butterflies, our birds, our bugs, and our bats. So that's coming up also. These flyers are up here on the dais, the lower dais, and there's a bunch of them out in the I want to call it a sanctuary, and I know it's not. Foyer, church language coming out. Anyhow, please take these and, invite your friends and your neighbors and your family members to come also. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other boards and commissions? If there are none, moving on to our agenda, we have reports of special or select committees. Any reports from select committees? Or any special committees? Do we have any select committees? We do not. We have reports from mayor or other city officers and departments.
Good evening, Madam President and council members and clerk. A few updates. First, thank you to Jennifer and the tree board for the report. They have done a fabulous job along with Phil Graff, and we had a few bumps with some things this spring with one of our contractors, but we've gotten back on track because Phil, he's tenacious in making sure that we get things done right. So we appreciate that. But also kudos to Clarence and his team for all the hard work that they've done over the last year. I feel like we're in meetings all day, all the time, every day. But again, it's a labor of love, and I think you are all starting to see those things come to fruition. Couple of updates on a couple of grants. So we have the Safe Streets grant that we did the first bid, but we received an additional amount of money. So we're in the midst of doing that contract. That's $350,000 total. So most of that money is really about community engagement, bringing the community out to talk about sidewalks, roads, safety, all of that. So that'll be going on for the next year and a half. The other grant that we just completed was a Ready 2.0 grant, and this is an arts and culture grant. We did it in partnership with NERC, the RDA, Lake and Porter counties, and our portion is really surrounding the plaza, expansion in Washington Park, and also the You Are Beautiful site that will now have water stations, a restroom, right there on Highway 20 across from the skate park, not Highway 20, Highway 12. So hopefully we'll hear something back in the next 4 to 5 months for that. We also submitted for electric vehicles for the police and planning department. And we might know more about that in the next month. So 4 to 6 weeks. So, and we still have one outstanding, and that's the build grant. And that is planning grant for Michigan Boulevard for the corridor plan. A few other things. Last month, we held like a informational on the destination playground, and I'm proud to say that we've had a significant uptick in donations because of that. And I think we're going to get to the finish line on that here soon. Looks like we're going to be going out to bid. I think I see Shannon in here. We're going to be going out to bid here soon to let that project. So goal is to break ground the weekend after Labor Day this year. So we are excited about that. CCMG. We didn't receive the CCMG initially, but lo and behold, there was some money available from CCMG, and we reapplied and we received $774,697. So we're going to be moving forward with paving more than we anticipated after we didn't receive it. So now we have received it. Contracts have been signed. So that will be underway, along with about $350,000 in sidewalks for this year. So those bids are going to be going out. I just saw Mr. Dunlap, and this is something that I look forward to doing. We are now part of America in Bloom. He always talked about a seed program and some other things on beautification. We are now a member. The advisors are going to be here, and I'll be notifying the tree board and the Sustainability Commission, in particularly, their advisors are going to be here the second week in June to stay a few days in Michigan City, to ride around, give us some kind of some direction on some things that we can do differently. We used to be a part of that years ago when I was on the council. So we are now a part of that. And the goal really is about community pride and how do we engage residents to be more engaged in the beautification. So that leads me to a couple of workforce development items that I would like to share with all of you. So we had our gala Friday. And as Clarence shared, Google was announced last week, so they matched us with $50,000. So we're giving away approximately $120,000 to local organizations or here in the next few weeks. But $30,000 of that is going to be for a Michigan City Ambassador Workforce Program that we are partnering with Goodwill Industries and Center for Workforce Innovation. So it's part of their reentry program for felons, but also we're doing a program with high school students as well. And they're going to be focused on the main corridors, helping us with trash, pickup, all of those different things in our major corridors of the city this summer. So that program will also, for the high school students, entail some leadership development training as well. Along with that, and we're contributing $30,000, but they're contributing and matching us up to $40,000. So that is a plus for us that we don't have to pay for the whole thing, but that $30,000 is coming from the Mayor's Charitable Gala. On May 13th, for the community, there is going to be an information on the Indiana plan here at City Hall from 5 to 7 p.m. on May 13th. We are sponsoring another class this year. It will begin July 13th. Michigan City sponsored a class last summer, and we're doing another one this year in July. Again, another workforce development opportunity for our residents. So we're paying for 15 local residents to participate in that class. And last but not least, because there's some other stuff, and I'll let y'all ask questions. We've been meeting actively probably for the last 8 weeks. We have a standing 2-week call focused on infill housing and affordable housing. And part of that is how do we do attainable housing? Well, we don't own a whole lot of land or properties, but we did reach out to the county about some of their properties that they had. I asked them for at least 16 properties, so following up on that, but really trying to work with Intend and also with our Drive grant that we received in conjunction with Unity Foundation, Legacy, all three counties, but really focused on how do we make it easier for builders and developers to do small housing units. Because right now, everything is big, right? But we have small lots, we have vacant lots, and how can we cobble those together to create a program? So we've been working on that, more to come on that. And the second part of that is rehabilitation of homes. We met with Aegis for the last 6 months, and we had one of our final meetings today, and they're meeting with the controllers next week to so that we can launch our rehabilitation program. It's very similar to what Councilman Dabney wanted to do locally, but this is on the state level. They have funding at the state level that we don't have to use our own money. So the goal is to roll something out where we will use some of our money to support that. We met with them in CDBG, so more to come on that, and that will be really about energy efficient appliances, roofs, windows, doors, things of that nature. So the goal is to get that kicked off this summer. So more to come on that. And I'll stop there. There's plenty of that. Any questions for me?
Any questions for the mayor from the council? Dr. Cora?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Mayor Angie, for trying to go and get as much grant money as possible. I know you've been doing this for a long time because that really helps us, and the taxpayers don't have to spend the money for that. And there are so many grant opportunities, and thank you for bringing that money in here.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
There are no others. Oh, Councilman Coulter.
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to congratulate you on a successful mayor's ball. That's 130,000 you said?
We're giving out 130. We raised 150.
Cool. That's money that obviously just saying what's obvious, but that's money that we can spend on anything. So that's really cool that you're able to do that, and that's a success that I'd like to congratulate you on.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you to the sponsors. I mean, everybody who buys a ticket or sponsors a table or sponsors a nonprofit, there are 30 organizations that are receiving funding. And again, 30,000 is going to fund the workforce program, that pilot program we're doing this summer. So it'd be good. So thank you.
Councilman Przybylski?
Yeah, Mayor, and I just have a question here. So this Safe Streets grant
Yes.
that you were talking about, and I don't know if this would be applicable to this, but one thing that I've been looking at is the traffic speed on Franklin Street. And let me just use an example, is that if you go down to Barker Road, go from Barker Road up to 11th Street, going northbound, there's only 4 speed limit signs that say 30 miles an hour. And 2 of them are hid behind trees, so you can't see that. So I think a study needs to be done on Franklin Street, the speeding, and trying to reduce it with possibly new signage, more automated signage, or whatever the consultant would say, if we can use that money towards that.
Yes, it can be used in that way. It's really a lot of the walkable areas specifically. So Michigan Boulevard is probably going to be key as well. We have several neighborhood streets that have speed limits that haven't been changed in years. We've just met, people going 70 miles an hour on, a neighborhood road. So it's really to slow down, kind of like a traffic diet in certain areas where we have buses, people catching buses, where they're crossing over to grocery stores, all those different things, but also all the ADA compliance pieces of that, because we still have areas of town that are not ADA compliant, right? And, we've kicked the can down the road quite a bit on so many of these things. But this will allow us to spend the money to figure it out comprehensively instead of piecemealing it like we've been doing. And that's what we've been doing forever, kicking the can down the road and piecemealing things together. So this money that we got, 350, well, actually we got 280. We had a $70,000 match for the $280,000. But nonetheless, we finally can come up with a plan and a timeline of getting these things done. And once you do the planning, you're eligible for the money to implement. And I think that's where we missed the boat. We've been so scared to do the planning grants that we're just piecemealing it together whenever we get a little dollar here and there, or exhaust the riverboat to do it, when we can just use free money to do it. So more to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on our agenda, we still have reports from other city officers and departments.
Good evening, Council. Fire Chief Barrett Taylor.
Good evening.
Sorry I didn't make it earlier this month. I was had a family thing that I had to attend. So before I start on this, I know Councilman Dabney had emailed me after the March meeting. I had said we had so many fires. I want to clarify. So we're trying to work this out a little better now, so it's not so vague, because I know it's been vague, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this with our reporting software. But the numbers I give you are the ones we were dispatched for, and it doesn't always mean that that's what happened. So if I say a structure fire, it's not always a structure fire. It's what we got dispatched for. It could have just been a dryer fire or a bad outlet. And so, but we're trying to narrow this down. So if there's any questions you ever have when you get this, that you got, like what's a specific call is or something like that, let us know. We'll pull that report for you. Like, hey, what, it was categorized as this. What exactly was it? Until we can get this dialed in a little better. So for the month of March, we had a total of 418 calls, and that broke down to 18 fire calls. 14 of those were outside fires, so it'd be trash or grass fires. 2 structure fires, which I don't believe were actually structure fires. Like I said, it could have been a dryer, outlet, or whatever, but they did not result in a house or a building on fire. And 2 transportation fires, which would have been vehicles, that were cars, trucks, whatever. Hazardous situations. We had 6 of those with non-hazardous chemicals. Those, where they're being classified, that was an accident with injuries. How that fell into that category, I don't know. Hazardous situation with hazardous materials were gas leaks. We had 12 gas leaks, and 3 hazardous situations that were just being investigated. It turned out to be nothing. We had 286 medical calls. 227 of those were for illnesses, 55 were for injuries, and 4 were for other reasons. 31 public service calls. 17 of those were citizens assist. 13 were public service with alarms, but they weren't medical alarms. I don't know exactly what those are, to be honest with you, without pulling the reports. The citizens assist could have been like lift assist, stuff like that. Public service was other, which I believe was actually somebody stuck in an elevator. And then we had 62 non-emergencies, 41 false alarms, 7 good intent, and 14 were canceled en route. Like I said, we're working on it to get a little better clarification on some of these. If you have any questions on any particular call or any particular category, let us know. We'll pull the reports for you and get that, and then we'll know for sure. But I got pulled one today that was supposed to be a car wreck, and it ended up being just some injury. So I don't know how they're classifying them, how it's falling into particular categories, but we're working on that to get that all sorted out. And I know over the course of the past couple of weekends, we were able to help Councilwoman Lee with a project she was doing, and we were able to help Councilman Nelson with a request that he had for some community service. We were glad to help anytime. Just ask us. We'll come out and help and demonstrate or whatever. Any questions?
Are there any? Councilman Nelson?
I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you and your staff coming out this Saturday to demonstrate the Narcan.
Yes, sir. Glad we could help. Like I said, anytime.
Are there any other comments from the council? Councilwoman Lee?
Yeah, and shout out to C Shift on Station 1 and 3 for coming out to Streetle Pond and helping out. I was telling you earlier, that's the 3rd time that some of your firefighters have been to Streetle Pond to do a cleanup with me. Just happened to be that same shift that has come out, so I appreciate everybody who came out and helped again.
Glad they could come and help. Glad it all worked out. Anything else?
That's all we have for you, Chief Taylor.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You as well. Madam Clerk, the next thing on our agenda for this evening, if you would, our first petition, please.
A petition of Baelish Properties LLC to vacate a portion of public alley in the city of Michigan City running parallel to East Michigan Boulevard and located immediately south and adjacent to 2525 and 2515 East Michigan Boulevard. The second petition is of Ronald Presbitero and Lauren to vacate portion of public street and portion of public alley in the city of Michigan City located north of Woodlawn Avenue between Winnipeg Avenue and Geneva Lake Avenue.
And Madam Clerk, if you would, on communications.
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on April 2nd from Mayor Angie regarding her gala event being held on Friday, April 17th. On April 6th from NDOT Indem regarding sanitary sewer construction permit application received. A notice of public hearing was received from NFR Institute of Technology regarding a petition B-105-26 being held on Tuesday, April 14th. On April 10th, Mayor Angie announcing the city was awarded $774,697.92 for the road improvement project / community crossings. Correspondence was also received from CJ Alexander responding to the response he received regarding an FOI he filed on March 26th. Correspondence was received on the 13th from Ashley Williams regarding correspondence she received from Councilwoman Tillman regarding the data center at 402 Royal Road.
Madam Clerk, our ordinance on first reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, an ordinance vacating a portion of a public alley in the city of Michigan City running parallel to East Michigan Boulevard and located immediately south of adjacent to 2525 and 2515 East Michigan Boulevard. And this is introduced by Mr. Preselinski.
And do the sponsor have any comments they would like to say?
I do not have any comments this evening, but Attorney Barry McDonald is here to address the explanation of the proposed ordinance. And Mr. McDonald is approaching the microphone. Yeah. No, thank you.
I know that, well, first off, good evening, Madam President, members of the council. For the record, my name is Barry McDonald. I'm an attorney here in Michigan City with offices at 601 Franklin Street. And I am here regarding both first ordinances or two ordinances back to back. But in this instance, I am representing Bailey's Properties LLC and its principals, Dr. Rex and Sherry Bailey. It's a fairly straightforward request to vacate an undeveloped portion of an alley that bisects their property at 2525 East Michigan Boulevard, which is the former Sentinel Alarm property, actually adjacent to the Michigan City Animal Hospital. The overhead from Beacon that I passed out kind of gives you a good visualization of the part of the alley that we're discussing. It kind of separates what is a rectangular portion from a portion in the back. And as you can see, it bisects the property that they purchased recently in two. The alley runs parallel and south of Michigan Boulevard. Obviously never been developed. In fact, a large portion of that same alley to the east was vacated many, many years ago. I think back in the 1980s. So there isn't that much of this alley left that hasn't already been vacated. Additionally, again, Dr. Bailey and his staff and his family bought this additional property with the intent that they need to expand and replace and repair the existing septic system that they have that services the hospital, as well as the potential to expand parking. And obviously, this alley kind of intersects the property that they would expand upon. Additionally, the Sentinel Alarm building, which I think dates back, according to the county records, to the 1950s, actually sits upon the alley. So the alley, as it sits right now, is incapable of being functional because this building, that again used to be Sentinel Alarm, has been in the alley for presumably many, many decades. So the alley, such as it is, and again, it's never been developed. It's not an alley other than it's platted. It basically has no function. The vacation of this alley, while it would certainly help my client to make additional improvements to the animal hospital site, it certainly would not hinder access or development because it's incapable of really serving as access in the fact that it's been previously vacated and in the fact that there is a building in the middle of it. So that's kind of a quick summary of why Bailey Properties LLC is requesting that this council vacate the portion of the alley that is seen on both the petition and the ordinance I submitted.
Before opening this up, I would like to state this has been advertised in the Herald Dispatch, April 22nd, 2026. Formal public hearing will be held May 5th, 2026. I would like to open this up now for public comments on this ordinance. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments on this ordinance? Last call for public comments on this ordinance. Public comment hearing is now closed. Comments from the council? Comments from the council? Do we have any comments from the council? There are none. This will be held over.
Madam President, yeah, I have a comment. I just want to thank Attorney McDonald, and I believe he gave a very clear and concise explanation of what is being wanted here. And we'll have second and third hearing on it. But I would graciously push the council members to approve this when it comes time for a vote. Thank you.
Council comments are now closed. This will be held over for a second until the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, our next ordinance first reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, an ordinance vacating a portion of the public street and portion of the public alley in the city of Michigan City located north of Woodlawn Avenue between Winnipeg Avenue and Geneva Lake Avenue. And this is also introduced by Mr. Preselinski.
And do the sponsor have any comments they would like to add?
No, Madam President. Yeah, you get it. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Attorney McDonald is going to address and explain the proposed petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Preselinski, Madam President, members of the council again. I'm still Barry McDonald, still at 601 Franklin Street. I hope the building's there in the morning when I get back. I'm here on this one for Ron and Lauren Presbyterio. Ron is actually over there. They are the owners of the two lots that you see in the aerial photo that's being passed around. They are currently completely vacant parcels on Woodlawn. If you were to drive by, you would just basically see greenery, trees, greenery. There's nothing developed there yet. But clearly, there is a 16 feet wide platted alley that was laid out many years ago that separates the front parcel that is directly on Woodlawn Avenue from the much larger parcel that my clients own in the rear. So they bought both parcels. They realized that there was an issue with an alley that bisected what they hoped to develop, and quite straightforward, they would put their driveway on coming through off Woodlawn through the smaller parcel and build what is going to be their new primary single family residence on the larger parcel in the rear. And obviously, when they are building on what is not their property, but a city platted alley, that is a potential problem that obviously they discussed with the city. I think they were referred to my office from the city because obviously they needed counsel. And here we are before you. In discussing these existing, but again, undeveloped alleys and this Everett Avenue, which is in the rear, in discussing these matters, with the planning and zoning department, particularly Mr. York. I do not see that the city has any plans to do any development of that alley or certainly of Everett Avenue to the rear. Obviously, by vacating Everett Avenue, it would give my client more room to build on. We understand fully that half of that vacation, as it is with all vacations, would go to the other surrounding property owner. And in this case, the property owner to the rear is the National Park System. So they would be picking up some additional land as part of this vacation. They would be picking up 50%. The council, not this council, but in the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, perhaps some of the members of this council actually approved a prior similar vacation request in this same neighborhood on property that is to the east on Woodlawn. So the alley has already been somewhat vacated. This would be just a further vacation. But I would argue that's a good thing. It's a good thing that we have someone coming outside of Michigan City, my clients, to build a new single family home in an area where we don't see as much development as we do in certain other areas of the city. So hats off to people who want to come and build a beautiful home in Michigan City. And this petition would help them in that endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney McDonald. I would like to state for the record that this has been advertised in the Herald Argus Dispatch, April 22nd, 2026. Formal public hearing will be held May 5th, 2026. I am opening this up now for public hearing. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? If you would please state your name and your address, and comments are 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
I'm still Sel Dunlap, 729 East Michigan Boulevard. I just came down to acknowledge a thorough presentation justifying the request. And I want community residents to take note of that when coming before the city council to represent their positions. You don't necessarily have to be graced with the talent, skill, background, education, foresight that Mr. McDonald possesses. Just be able to tell common sense. Again, I appreciated his presentation. I learned something from it. He's real smooth, ain't he?
Are there any other public comments on this ordinance? Any other public comments on this ordinance? This is last call for public comment on this ordinance. Public hearing on this ordinance is now closed. Comments from the council? Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah, Madam President, and what Mr. Presbyterial is trying to do here is the same example that Mr. Clarence Holst gave us 45 minutes or an hour ago, as far as people coming from outside of Michigan City, making development in Michigan City. And this is a prime example of what this gentleman is doing. And especially on the west side, Woodland Ave, they need help with the development over there. And I applaud you for coming to Michigan City and making this your primary home, as Mr. McDonald had stated. So I'm just saying again, a prime example, people coming from out of town, they want to come to Michigan City. Here's a chance for this gentleman to take a piece of property that's undeveloped and to develop it into some magnificent looking home, I'm sure. And I know, I believe it was the last council meeting, we were talking about annexation and taking in property taxes instead of giving away little sewers here and sewers there. Prime example of a gentleman that's going to build probably a beautiful home, and we'll be able to take and reap the property taxes from it. So once again, when it comes time to vote or to approve this, I would appreciate everyone a yes vote. Thank you.
And this ordinance will be held over for second reading at the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, on our next ordinance on first reading by title only, please.
Ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the golf non-reverting fund salaries and wages at the Michigan City Municipal Golf Course. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney.
And does the sponsor like to make any comments?
Yes, I'd just like to comment about this. And every time something like this comes up, when it mentions a non-reverting fund, I go out and repeat, what that actually is, so the public will know. And we're talking about for our golf course, a non-reverting fund means they can do things in the golf course. They could sell things from the golf shop, whatever they may be doing, but they raise those funds and they're kind of cycled back into the golf course so they can kind of self-sustain. And that's what a non-reverting fund means. That money does not come into the general fund. So they use these funds when they raise these dollars to do improvements or anything like that to the golf course. So that is what's happening here. This is not additional money like it's coming from the riverboat or anything like that. This is a non-reverting fund, like I said, where they've raised their own money and now they're just recycling it back out to do the things that they need to do for the golf course. I just wanted to explain that, as I usually do when we talk about non-reverting funds, just to make sure the public is on the same page what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. And for this ordinance, it has been advertised in the Herald Dispatch, April 22nd, 2026. Formal public hearing will be held May 5th, 2026. This is now open for public comment on this ordinance. Are there any public comments on this ordinance?
Good evening, council members. Shannon Eason, Park Superintendent. I just wanted to introduce Melissa Moore. She's been promoted to our administrative assistant. So that's the position I held prior to being Park Superintendent. And she is being trained to be the new Shannon along with Will. So she's going through the process of doing an additional appropriation. So I just wanted to introduce you tonight and let her explain a little bit about why we're doing an additional appropriation. Again, this is out of our non-reverting fund. We hold our own cash balance. It's a checking account. We make money, we spend money, we can't go over. So just a few words. It's your first time.
Yeah. So we are asking for this appropriation because for some reason, the funds were not in our seasonal budget. This year, we don't know if that money got transferred, that amount got transferred from a previous year. It was just a wrong number. But we currently have 64% of our operating budget in our cash fund. So we don't really have a concern of transferring this money for the additional appropriation. And a lot of it, we're going to get a lot more business this year, we think, because of the closure of Briarleaf in LaPorte. So all of their clientele is coming to our course.
Yeah, very good. So just a couple of additional things. We've picked up like 6 or 8 outings already. What she mentioned is our cash balance right now funds 64% of our budget. A healthy cash balance, according to the controller, is 15 to 20% when you end on December 31st. So we're in a really good shape. We know we have a lot of play coming to our course, and we just want to make sure we have enough money in our personnel accounts to keep staffed. We're very cognizant of the fact of if we're not making the money, we won't spend it because we're not an operating fund. You guys aren't going to inject into us. We kind of have to self-sustain. So good job. So we appreciate your support tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? This will be the last call for public comments on this ordinance. Public comments are now closed. Any comments from the council? Councilman Dabney.
Yes, I just wanted to have her tell her to go ahead and pat her buddy Shannon on the back for throwing her in the fire. She said it's got to happen sooner or later. So
Are there any other comments? If there are none, this ordinance will be held over for second reading at the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, our next ordinance on first reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the rainy day fund to cover unfunded public employees retirement fund per contributions. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman, Mr. Beatrice, and Mr. Dabney.
We do have Attorney LePage and we have our HR Ms. Williams in attendance in regards to this. I would just like to quickly read, not quickly, but I would like to read this verbatim so that everyone will have a clear understanding. And then if there's any questions, then we do have corporate counsel in attendance and we have HR present as well, which states that this is an approval, additional appropriation in the budget of the rainy day fund to cover unfunded public employees retirement fund PERF contributions. Whereas the city of Michigan City participates in the public employees retirement fund PERF administered by the Indiana Public Retirement System in PERS, and whereas a recent internal audit performed by the Human Resource Department identified that 8 participants had improperly retired with PERF due to failing to have an actual bona fide separation of employment as required by the IRS and PERF regulations. And whereas of these 8 participants, 6 of the city employees, 1 is a Port Authority employee and 1 is an elected official. And whereas these improper retirements occurred between 2021 and 2023 before Mayor Angie Nelson Deitch took office. And whereas the city has worked cooperatively with PERF to resolve this matter. And as a result, the employer's share of the contributions must be remitted for all 8 participants retroactive to the date that each submitted their improper retirement applications to current. And whereas the mayor has recently advised the Port Authority that they will be required to remit their respective employer shares for their 1 participant, that amount has been determined by MPERS, and whereas there are insufficient funds currently appropriated in the 2026 budget to satisfy the missed employer contributions by the city to PERF for the remaining 7 participants. And whereas it has been demonstrated to the Common Council of the City of Michigan City that it is necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the 2026 annual budget for the city employer contributions for 7 city participants to PERF. And whereas the city controller has determined that sufficient unappropriated funds are available in the rainy day fund number 2236.000 to be appropriated for that purpose. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Michigan City, LaPorte County, Indiana, for the expense of the city of the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the fund named and for the purpose specified above, subject to the laws governing the same. This is a decrease from 2236.00 unappropriated balance, amount requested $400,000. To increase account number 2236.00.413.003, amount appropriated $400,000. Total for fund $400,000. This ordinance to be effective upon passage by the council, approval by the mayor, and necessary publication, and any necessary approval by the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. I would also like to add, this is and has been advertised in the Herald Dispatch, April 22nd, 2026. Formal public hearing will be held May 5th, 2026. I will open this up now for public comments on this ordinance. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments on this ordinance? There are none. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Are there any comments from the council? Councilman Beatrice?
A little history lesson. In 1859, Charles Dickens wrote A Tale of Two Cities. The opening line is famous. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That pretty much sums up one city, Michigan City. Over the past couple of years, we've had impressive growth and expansion on one hand. We had a great report from the EDC. And then the legislature and the governor have done their best to financially ruin us on the other hand. This ordinance is another example of the worst of times for Michigan City. With the legislation and the governor, we didn't really have any control over the circumstances that were thrust upon us. But with this ordinance, we did have control of this situation initially, but mistakes were made prior to this administration. And now, because of these mistakes, we've lost control and we're forced to meet our responsibilities under the law and find an additional $400,000 to fulfill our financial obligations. It's a sad situation because it never should have happened, but nevertheless it did. And it's not good for anyone involved in it from top to bottom, but it's something that we need to face and we need to move forward.
Dr. Cora?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I had one question for Attorney LePage. I recognize we have to take care of this responsibility, but are there any processes being put in place that these kinds of mistakes won't happen again?
So, Dr. Cora, the city worked with NPERS to resolve this issue, and NPERS thanked us for bringing it to their attention when we audited it. The issue with employees' retirement is solely with NPERS. So I don't foresee it happening again because the participants have to affirmatively fill out their applications, submit them, and with the representation that they are separating employment. So I hope there's not, but I know going forward, HR is strictly referring all of the staff to NPERS for retirement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was that all, Dr. Cora? Councilman Przybylinski?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I've given this ordinance, thank you, Amber, yeah. I've given this ordinance a lot of thought. A lot of things, went through my mind, and I don't think there was any ill intent that has taken place here. And as Mr. Councilman Beatrice said, nevertheless, it did happen. So we have to deal with it, and we are. One thing I wish would have happened after we learned what did happen is that, and I don't know if an attempt was made or not, but what I hear, an attempt wasn't made, that the personnel director would have sat down and talked to each one of the individuals involved to see exactly what happened, instead of just getting a letter from the state and dealing with it in that direction. So I know the employees involved and don't feel good about it. I wouldn't either. And the end result is going to be tough for some of them, but at least I think we could have listened to why things happened the way they did, and instead of just, okay, this is it, write an ordinance, we're done with it. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney?
Yes, when we were brought together to discuss We were strictly told that this is a state issue in PERS, that this had nothing to do with the human resources talking to any of the employees or anything like that. This was sent directly to NPERS for them to settle the issue. So a sit down talk with personnel, with any employee, it would have been a moot point because it is a state issue. So that's where it was referred to. That is where it's being settled. So yeah, just a little bit of disagreement with the fact that being able to sit down and ask someone about it. I mean, it's no longer in our hands. We're here having to pay $400,000 of dollars that we would have funded over that time for retirement, but this is a NPERS issue, and it was sent down for them to settle. So that is the way it was explained to me, and that is exactly what happened.
Attorney LePage.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilman Dabney is absolutely correct. When the city met with NPERS, they said that this is an NPERS matter and that they were going to handle reaching out directly to the employee. And it was no longer a city issue to resolve any back payments. What we would be responsible for would be the employer share. So Councilman Dabney is correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney LePage. If there are no other comments on this ordinance, this ordinance will be held open for second reading at the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, our ordinance on second reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending section 22-83 in the Michigan City Municipal Code, commonly known as the Building and Inspection Fee Waiver. And this is introduced by Mr. Beatry and Mr. Dabney.
And do either of the sponsors like to make any comments? There are none. I will open this up for public comment on this ordinance. Are there any public comments on this ordinance?
Yes, Scott Mellon, Turner, Kenwood Place. I watched on video the last meeting, so I saw your debate about this. I appreciate that you're taking this. I've spoken in public before that I didn't like us taking these requests to zero for nonprofits because goose eggs are really hard to fill a budget with. I feel you've come up with a good solution here to have a baseline that for requests that are granted, that it won't be a zero, it'll be a 50%. And I think that's I think this is good law, and I think you should pass it. Thank you.
This is the last call on public comment on this ordinance. If there are none, public comments are now closed. Comments from the council, Councilman Dabney.
Yeah, and I didn't comment at the beginning because I couldn't find my notes that I wrote. But this is just us setting up an outline, a framework of how we would do this when we get requests for waivers of fees, permit fees, and things of that sort. And so the way it's going to work, and I'll just read this whereas the city reasonably believes that it is in the best interest of the city and residents herein to amend section 22-83 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to provide the Common Council with the ability to waive up to 50% of building permit fees and inspection fees for the following. A, 501c3 nonprofit corporations engage in the acquisition, creation, and construction or improvement of affordable housing, and B, Michigan City area schools, and we put the Michigan City area schools in there because they are a partner of the city. I mean, we were allowed to use their facilities in the past, and it's kind of a reciprocal relationship where we help them, they help us. And then C, the Michigan City Public Library. So we're just putting these parameters in order to give us a guideline on how to do this rather than everything coming before us. And now you're making these, this case by case and all these other things. Just putting, like I said, putting in guidelines to keep us on the right track to make sure, we're doing it consistently for all groups involved.
Councilman Prisbalinski.
Yeah, and I was going to mention the same thing that Councilman Dabney just did, that this here we have the ability to waive up to 50%. So we can waive 10%, 15%, whatever we decide we want to waive on each particular application that comes before us. Thank you.
Councilman Beatrice.
Yeah, we, several of us spoke at length about this on the first reading. And Councilman Dabney is correct. The initial ordinance did allow up to 50% for nonprofits engaged in the housing, but it didn't include the schools and the public library. So all this does is add the schools and the public library to that category. And I agree with what Councilman Przybylski said too, that it allows us for the ability to waive up to 50%. But I'm warning us all now. The minute that you get into the game of, okay, you get a 10%, you get a 20%, that's a slippery slope, and you kind of open yourself up for claims that you're being arbitrary and capricious. So I like the ordinance, but I think we should be very careful in the future about waiving and how much we're going to waive one over the other. Thank you.
If there are no other comments from the council, this ordinance will be held over for third reading at the next council meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have any new business?
Mayor Angie is requesting the advice and consent of the members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding her new appointment of Jesse Cundiff to the Michigan City Historic Commission, term beginning immediately and expiring in March 15th of 2029.
And Attorney Snow, can we just acknowledge this, or do we need to vote on this?
I think the council, what have we done in the past? I think the council needs to consent, so I think you would say consent or don't consent, or something to that effect.
So Madam Clerk?
There would need to be a motion to grant consent to the reappointment.
Thank you, Attorney Snow. May I entertain a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Jesse Cundiff to the Michigan City Historic Commission and approve and at the request and advice of our mayor.
And may I entertain a second?
Second for.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Przybylski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Approve, or yes.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
and Ms. Lee.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
And congratulations for your appointment to the Michigan City, to the Michigan City Historic Historic Commission. And we do have, Madam Clerk, do we have any unfinished business?
No, new business.
Oh,
Mayor Angie is requesting the advice and consent of the members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding the reappointment of the following to the Michigan City Historic Commission: Rosa Tejeda and Patricia Matzi.
and may I entertain a motion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to make that motion. I also want to make a comment really quickly that between the last one adding Jesse and then adding Rose Tejeda and Patricia Matzi, these are fantastic people on our Historic Preservation Commission. And as the liaison for that commission, I've seen it's night and day since 4 years ago or something like it to today. That commission is so much more in shape.
Don't talk.
So yes, I motion to reappoint Rose Tejeda and Patricia Matzi to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second.
And Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Przybylski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
and Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
And congratulations to the both of you. Madam Clerk, do we have any unfinished business this evening?
There's no unfinished business.
I would like to open this up now for comments from the public. If you would please come up and state your name and your address, and you would have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Ernie Hallahan, 302 Gladys Street. I I heard the news that we're going to get industry back here, but it'll be long before my time. I don't look for it coming that quick. But I've expressed this every time I've got up here. We need business back here. Myself alone has closed many industries in this town. But I don't see any coming back. Nothing new is coming back. It doesn't help these kids that's going to be graduating and doesn't go to college and are looking for jobs. I have a little great grandson that's turning 18 in July, and he's going to be looking for work. And he wants factory work like his dad had. So bring some back for these kids. My life was built in factory work. And all of them are closed and gone. And I don't see any replacing them. All the buildings are gone, tore down, or sitting empty. There's nothing in there replacing them. So you may think there's a lot of industry here, but there's not. No, there's not. I'll guarantee you.
Thank you, Ms. Cerny. Are there any other public comments?
Sal Dunlap, 729 East Michigan Boulevard. Mr. Beatrice, you reference the tale of two cities. It's strange that Charles Dickens never said anything about Napoleon getting beat to death by some Haitians, which led to the United States acquiring the Louisiana territory for 3 cents an acre, doubled this country in size. I want to recognize Mr. Presbylinski. I have acknowledged his help in the past for where he assisted in getting some water removed from the sidewalk at Bethel Church that had been standing there for years. He got personally involved in it, and it got resolved. He got involved with my concern regarding this piece of property over on 8th Street that was in the newspaper the other day, last week. And I want to acknowledge you and express my appreciation for you doing that. In that article done by the News Dispatch, Mr. Coulter, you were quoted as saying, boy, something here. We're not necessarily in a spot to tell somebody what to do with their private property, Coulter said. Mr. Coulter, if you really meant this, if this is your limited understanding of your position, you don't have a clue as to what your responsibilities are and the power that you represent in terms of representing this community. I have a background in community development. And I'm not necessarily, I've used this expression before, not necessarily blowing hot air up my university, but I know something about something, Mr. Nelson. If you need a better understanding of which way to go toward bringing your community back, you need to sit down and talk to me. I'm willing to share with you some basic fundamental stuff. I want to take a ride with you on 10th Street from Wabash and look at just unnecessary evil sitting there, been sitting there for decades. And a definite plan is needed. Little lady, I appreciate what you're doing with your environmental concern. But I'm also noticing that you've never approached me about joining your effort. I'm not going to beg you to become a part of what you're doing, and I consider it to be a very positive thing. But all of you know that I have something to contribute. I've got some history here, and I'm far from being afraid to share with you how you have vomited on stuff that I have tried to do in the past. I casually mentioned, Mr. Coulter, that I'll run against you. I'll be 80 next month. I don't want to do that. I really don't. But if there's somebody available and capable to run against you, you better
Mr.
bet you
Dunlap.
I will support them. But if you want to get on board again, I'm willing to help you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunlap.
City Council, pleasure to see a full city council seated. I want to bring something to your attention. I've been on an issue here in the city of Michigan City ever since I was on the city council representing the third ward.
State your name and your address.
Yeah, excuse me. My name is Dave Bila. I live at 3044 Ohio Street, Michigan City, Indiana. I've been on an issue. I was a former Michigan City third ward councilman, and we had water problems back then in the 70s, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. And I'm doing research, and for the last 20 years, the Michigan City Sanitary District has received from representatives of the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th ward money to clean out ditches in the city of Michigan City. That encompasses the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th ward. This year, the Michigan City Sanitary District will receive roughly $567,000 to clean out ditches in the west side of town. Well, believe it or not, today, Monday, was the first day that the Michigan City Sanitary District attempted to clean out ditches, and they started and they dug some holes along the area that I've been complaining about for the last 20 years. And they finally recognized that, maybe there is a problem. Well, roughly $400 million. No, $40 million has been went into the coffers of the sanitary district to clean out ditches here in Michigan City. 50% of that money was derived from the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th ward. Finally, now, after 20 years, the city of Michigan City, through its sanitary district, is showing some responsibility. I have a meeting scheduled with the sanitary district tomorrow, the 22nd, at the 8th Street Water Department. And I wish anybody who have experienced problems with water in their basements, water in their crawl spaces, water in their alleyways that doesn't dissipate after rain, I wish they would attend that meeting and voice their concerns to the sanitary district, because the sanitary district has not done their job over the last 20 years. I got documentation to prove it. $20 million went into their coffers to clean out ditches. And what do the residents of the West Ward, 2nd or 3rd or 4th Ward, what do they see for that, for their taxes that they paid on a yearly basis? Again, how many people do you know that still have water problems in the area? Back on September the 6th in 2022, I brought this issue to the Michigan City Board of Works. And I was authorized to work with the sanitary district to remediate this problem. But since 2022, I've had absolutely no communication with the sanitary district whatsoever, other than my efforts trying to convince them that I know what I'm talking about. I went on deaf ears. That's pathetic. When you have an entity within the city. Again, my time is up. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow, 4 o'clock, sanitary district meeting. Thank you.
Yes, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. I just want to commend Chris Yagelski from the Sanitary Department, and Chris Carr from the Refuse Department, and Jessica Ward from the airport on the recent spring pickup. I took some of my items out to the airport a few times. I also want to commend Brett Kelly from Vector Control. On my way back, I went down Warnicki Road. This area has been bad since Councilman Mullenhour's ward. Right there on Warnicki Road, right there between kind of Royal Road and Warnicki, where you turn off there by the golf course. The litter has always been bad. They're even back in the years we were all at ANCO. The litter was really bad. I emailed Brett, and you need to go pick that up. His crew and his department were right on top, and they went and picked up all that litter. So a few more times I've said there was areas. One time it was St. John Road was really bad, all the way from Franklin, Ohio. They were right on top of it, cut it, mowed the grass and everything. Last Sunday I was driving home, and I saw Miss Kathy Stransky out in her yard there in Barker Avenue, and she told me to pull up a little ways, and down her alley There was some guy put about 20 tires out to his alley. She said this guy goes to LaPorte and they give him $5 for each tire he hauls off, and he actually takes all the tires and puts them in the alley for the city to pick up. I think she said the guy's moved out. That's in the 2nd Ward. So we need to put a stop to none. They need to find that guy. Thank you.
Thank you. May I ask about, with all due respect, how many more public comments do I have? Reasoning being because we may need to take a 3 to 5 minute restroom break. Okay. Okay. May I, excuse me. I have, it's a proper formality to do this. May I entertain a motion to take a 5-minute recess?
So moved.
Thank you. 5 minutes. Thank you and welcome back to the City Council. We are now under comments from the public. And again, all comments from the public, we ask that you please state your name and your address, and you are allotted your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Stoltz. I live at 201 Euclid Avenue in Michigan City. I have 2 points tonight. One of them is relating to the data center. I asked the Michigan City Common Council to do your due diligence and call on the Indiana Department of Environmental Management to use its authority to halt construction at the Google Project Maze Data Center until Phoenix investors and Google can formally commit to and implement a complete cleanup and remediation at this contaminated brownfield site, which is actively endangering the health of our communities and on-site workers. I know we need industry here, but I think that's a bad deal, and I'm really sorry that it's here. So I hope that can be attended to. My other point is that along Franklin Street, down towards the southern part of town, where all the commercial, where all the stores are, we really need sidewalks there, or at least a place to bike. There are a lot of people who don't have vehicles, and I see them walking on the street, especially in the winter. It's really difficult for people, and I really wish that's something that we would look at, and also put bike racks around. You know, we need to promote biking and good health. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dominic Yankee, 904 Willow Spring Drive. I take issue with the councilman's assertion that the Public Employee Retirement Fund is a state issue. Michigan City Human Resources personnel discovered this issue from a past city administration. The proposed ordinance only covers the employer contributions, leaving several long-serving city employees on the hook to repay funds that they've received up to this point. These are some of the longest-serving employees of the city of Michigan City. To allow them to be harmed to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars because of a mistake from a past city administration would be an injustice. You have the power and the responsibility to make things right. As of a few days ago, the full soil sampling results for 402 Royal Road, the data center property, have not been received by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. The violation was formally cited in October, and over 6 months later, we are still without results. Furthermore, at the last city council meeting, a councilman directed the city council lawyer to contact the data center. In addition, Will and John of Phoenix Investors have still not responded to my email that was forwarded to them by a city councilwoman on March 23rd regarding the self-inflicted gunshot wound at the data center property nearly a month later. Finally, I find it reprehensible that individuals from multiple city departments, including code enforcement, planning department, and the inspection department, have failed to respond to emails from city residents for multiple weeks. I don't enjoy being ignored by city workers when submitting correspondence, and I doubt other city residents enjoy being ignored either. I hope the mayor is watching the rest of this council meeting so she can have a conversation with those 3 departments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello and good evening, Michigan City and City Council members. My name is Tiffany Taylor, 701 East 11th Street. Last year, towards the end of May, I decided to help our neighbor who has 4 children. My kids would be playing with the 2 boys of theirs, and all of a sudden my kids decided that they would want to ride their bike instead. With that being said, it left the 2 boys left out. My heart felt for them, for I feel no child should ever be left out, especially if it's a fun activity and has healthy benefits. I turned to social media and made an anonymous post in a local community group asking to see if anyone would be willing to donate 4 bikes to these children. With the help from the community members, I was able to accommodate all 4 bikes in one truckload. So thankful. Once the bikes were stored in my garage, I waited until the next day until the boys came over to see if my kids could play. The next day, the boys came and my kids unfortunately were not home, but I asked the boys to come to my garage instead anyway. They were aware of our kids, my husband, and my bike in there. As soon as I opened the huge garage door, they saw the new additions and asked what I was going to do with them. I turned to look at the bikes and then to the boys and replied, "They are yours." The look on the faces will forever hold my heart. They immediately hugged and thanked me. I informed them this is from the community, and I felt bad for when my kids would ride off on their bikes and they were left out. These boys, Dominic and Ricky, decided on their new bike ride that they would gain wings instead and find other children in our neighborhood who were just like them, bikeless and wanted to go for a ride. An hour or so later, the boys came back to inform me that they found 8 more children who were in need. So I returned to my post and asked if they would be willing to help a different child instead. Everyone was still more than happy to help. With that, I decided to start helping children who are in need of a bike and created a nonprofit organization called City Kids New Wave. We also have a page on Facebook and can be reached through there. It started off as a ripple, but due to these 2 boys, it created a huge wave. With the continuing help from not only our local community members, but our local Michigan City Police Department with their close partnership with Walmart, we were able to help over 214, and I repeat, 214 children last year with a bike. I'm still geeked over the number. I'm so thankful for our community, for their continuing love and support for our children of our community. I grew up in Michigan City. It is literally my hometown. I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. I remember a time when you would go down the street and could not help but notice a kid, if not a gang of children riding around on their bike. I want that for our children. For I feel technology is taking away their childhood. Not only do these bikes help children, they also help our local teenagers get to and from practices and even to their job as well. Amazing. So once more, I want to thank you for the time for me introducing myself and City Kids New Wave. Also, I still cannot say it enough. Thank you everyone for your continuing love and support. Thank you. Okay, any questions? Oh, City Kids New Wave, thank you. Is there any questions?
This is under comments. We can't, it's not a Q&A, but we have your information. So if there's any questions that any other council members, if they need to reach out, we will know how to do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Ashley Williams, 401 First Street. I'm here today because I love Michigan City and I care deeply, like each of you in this room, about our communities, our neighbors. I'm here because I care and I absolutely do not see Google's Project Maze data center exhibiting the care we expect of our residents and neighbors. In the wake of Google's big end user announcement on Thursday, the company we've been naming all along, we, the public, are still waiting for answers and transparency. We are being denied site plans for the data centers, no water, no energy usage, no emergency management plans, no nothing resembling even a semblance of transparency. The same day Google stepped forward last Thursday, they filed their contract with NIPSCO for an undisclosed amount of energy at an undisclosed price. No disclosures because, as you guessed it, it's another trade secret according to Google. Every request we make about the kind of data center they're really building, it gets shut down. This is not care. This is not a good faith development. Everything is trade secret, trade secret, trade secret. If I had a nickel for how many times Google claims everything is trade secret, well, I would be $1 trillion corporation. What does Google have to hide, and will this council continue to enable them? That's the real question before us this evening. As Councilman Prispolinski once said in the September abatements vote, by us approving, we gave away our leverage to go back to that company and try to get anything from the end user. And I'm here to echo Councilman Prispolinski's sentiments because we absolutely did. But that does not give you the excuse to rid yourself of your required duties as elected officers of our city. Every time we demand due diligence, many of you tell us it's a private development. There's nothing we can do. That is a cop-out. This is our city. It is not Google City. They do not get to play games with our lives or act in the shadows and expose us to more harm. This is period. End of story. Speaking of harm, the TC contamination at that site we warned you about is not a thing of the past. It's an active problem, verified by IDEM. Vapor is still far above screening levels under the slab, even with mitigation. Soil and construction berms have showed exceeded state criteria levels. TC has shown up in site drainage. The groundwater plume is still being evaluated. Merely referencing remediation remedies by Phoenix does not constitute implementation. We need action, not more Phoenix propaganda. Vapor mitigation and fencing do not remove contamination. They hide toxins in plain sight. Contamination that is linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, liver cancer, you name it. Google, a $1 trillion corporation run by one of the 5 richest men on the planet, is choosing profits over the people of Michigan City and leaving a Band-Aid on a disaster in waiting. To be acquiring such a woefully careless and reckless development being built by Scablaver is a choice. They have a responsibility, the people of Michigan City, to right their wrongs. And that right there is not a choice. It is an obligation that must be ensured by this council. Our community deserves measurable remediation. This council cannot replace IDEM, but you cannot be absent. I'm asking you to formally call on IDEM to stop work and require the following: a time-bound verifiable cleanup of TC at the site. That means soil, groundwater, and pathways, and a full accountability for all soil removed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm CJ Alexander, 6233 North 300 West, Michigan City. I am here today for a few reasons. First, I want to thank Gail for being so amazing. She seems to be the only one in City Hall that knows how to do her job. Thank you so much. It's really unfortunate to see the mayor and the attorney leave during the comment time for the citizens. They don't care apparently to hear what we have to say. However, I'm passing around a packet from starting back in 2023 when I started as a Michigan City police officer. There's a bunch of emails in there from prior commissioners, from the police commission, and from the mayor herself, and the attorney Amber, who apparently doesn't know how to do her job. So today I'm requesting oversight and a lawful transparency.
Interject one moment, please. And this is not just for you. Under comments, and this is for everyone that enters into the council chambers, any direct slander or in regards to individuals, this is not the place to direct any personal grievances with any individuals. It's here to present your comments. We adhere and we hear your comments. We write our we listen to them. We may watch this. But this is not going to be an opportunity to slander, allege, calling out individual personally. So just moving forward, please be mindful of that. That's all I ask. Thank you. You may continue, sir.
Perfect. So in March of 2023, I filed an internal affairs complaint alleging that Chief Corley was involved in selling drugs. The allegation was captured body camera.
There, that is it. We're not going to go any further in this. We all have your information. I am.
And this is exactly why this packet's getting passed around.
We have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Gail, again, thank you for everything that you do. You're the only one that knows how to do your job.
And again, thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do your job.
My name's Amy Lisinski. I live at 104 Mayfield Drive. First, I want to acknowledge
a positive way over here. Daisy was the only one, Miss Lee was the only one who reached out to me after I spoke at the last meeting in regards to the truck traffic on Royal Road and trying to immediately handle that. I did quickly follow back up where it was still a problem. I do have that picture that I can pass on to you because even though she has, tried to reach out this past week, I personally got stuck in truck traffic on Royal Road where I was sitting at Project Maze for 10 minutes while I had to sit there and just wait for them to get their equipment onto the site. On top of that, after sitting there, because Phoenix is such a great neighbor, the bus that they're using to bus all their people to and from the site decided that he was going to blow past me because he had no patience. If I had to sit and wait, he should have been waiting behind me. But again, this is because they're such a wonderful neighbor you brought to our neighborhood. Also, on April 16th, Tryon Road had some construction done as you guys were moving the water line from one side of the road to the other. I believe it's for Tryon Meadows. Not you guys, sorry, but whoever was in charge of that project left Tryon Road a disaster. They've already had to come out there and do one small patch because they left a huge divot in the road, but they now just created a massive speed bump on Tryon Road. You guys should all leave here, go drive on that road going both directions and see now what's there. That is unsafe for the cars that now have to slow down and go an extremely slow speed compared to what the speed limit is. And as this time and the weather is getting nice, I'm terrified if a motorcycle goes on that road. They literally now just created a speed bump. Today, furthermore with that, they were doing some more work out there and it became a one-way lane. No flaggers were out there and it was up to the cars to sit there and figure things out as cars were kind of sneaking through and not just waiting one side. So why were there not flaggers out there today? With that, I would like to say thank you because I did get somewhat of a response to that issue where it got passed on. I did pass on that, again, they did a little bit of patchwork, but they actually still then just created now a big bump where the big divot was. I would also like to say, and kind of echoing with what a different resident said earlier, the lack of response coming from areas at City Hall. I'm learning things. I've gotten involved. You guys see me at these meetings all the time. This is all new to me. So when I email people at City Hall and get flat out ignored, when I send a follow-up email and say, am I doing something wrong? Please let me know. And I still get ignored. That's not okay. That's going to discourage people from getting involved, but you guys say you guys want us to get involved. And furthermore, even for you guys, you can't pick and choose which emails of mine you want to respond to and which ones you don't. Because if you're my representative and I've been reaching out to you for a month, asking for help, and you're going to keep ignoring one issue but then reply to another instantly, you're picking and choosing what replies you want to help me with and which ones you don't. And that's also not okay. If you're my representative and you got elected to do these things, it's your duty to sit here and help us. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Lazinski.
Good evening. Paul Przyblinski, 1716 Washington Street. I'm here for several reasons, and the first one is that I cannot believe that you gave a multi-billion-dollar company a 40-year tax abatement. And that is one of the issues. But the other issue is I support Mr. Bila's total study and his information because this was brought up in the Perry's administration and it was kind of poo-pooed. But I've known about it from a gentleman by the name McCarty told me about the lawsuit. And the lawsuit was settled in the 70s. So basically the way I feel is that the sanitary district has poo-pooed all the residents of the city of Michigan City. They could have been putting that money in escrow and drawing interest on it because for years and years, they kept saying that they didn't have money to do the sewer separation project, which is called the Lafayette Sewer Project, which was proposed and sold a tunnel without approval by the state of an outflow. it still doesn't have an approval for an outflow. $8 million project. So by an individual that is on retainer right now at the sanitary district. This is shameful. Okay, there's no other word for it. But what is really shameful is that you all better figure out how the sanitary district is going to produce, because they owe us. They owe us, the residents of the 2nd Ward and the 5th Ward and the 4th Ward and the 3rd Ward. You know, with that money, what could have been done? You know, people can't sell their homes if they can prove a flooding problem. This has been, and then you talk about, I mean, you spent more time on the smoking ordinance than you did investigating the end product. Okay, the end product. Well, you know that saying, proof's in the pudding. Yeah, we got a real bill of goods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Downing at 205 East 11th Street. At the last city council meeting, there was some talk about annexation. One of you mentioned that you've been on the council for 12 years, and while you thought annexation was a great idea, annexations haven't taken place. Another longtime member said how annexation would be good for Michigan City because it could add property to the town and as a result, more property tax revenue. Annexation can be a good thing for Michigan City, but what about all the city-owned properties that have been sitting idle and off the tax rolls for many years? Do any of you know how many properties are sitting idle and could be on the tax rolls? Have any of you looked at the Beacon and see how many properties are sitting idle and could be sold and paying property taxes? I've had a look, and while there's some properties that look like they could be easements of some sort, there's also properties that are obviously not. Properties that have not contributed a penny to Michigan City for 5 years, 10 years, or longer. It's okay to look at annexation to grow Michigan City tax base, but why not look at what's already there and get some of those properties back to generating revenue? Getting these properties going again can only help the growth that was spoken about this evening. And how many people like Mr. Presbitero, who is looking for a variance, might want to build something on a piece of property in Michigan City if they can get a hold of it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, council.
Good evening.
Maybe I'm the last one. Scott Mellon, Turner Kenwood Place. I'm going to talk about our favorite subject, the flock camera. No, the data center. But I'm going to bring a different angle to this. I think you've all taken a lot of heat over the data center, and I think unfortunately most of it's undeserved because apparently you all didn't have anything to do with it, and I don't think people understand that you weren't involved. So if the council didn't negotiate the abatements, if I understand this correctly, who did? Because why I'm here is to say, now that the end user is announced, and I thank Google for coming to our town. I also will acknowledge, I thank them for their $50,000 donation to the charity. But we're not going to be bought off with 50 grand. Are they going to be good neighbors like our neighbors in LaPorte, Microsoft, who renegotiated their abatements to be no abatements, that they're going to pay full freight? And I'm happy for LaPorte that they just doubled their tax base for the next 20 years. It's really going to benefit them. So I'm going to different boards and suggesting that every board and committee in this council write a letter of support. I said to the council until I was informed by a council member that we didn't do it. A letter of support that we communicate or write something to Google to say, can we reopen, can we renegotiate these abatements? Will you be a good neighbor like Microsoft is to our neighbors? We don't have any leverage. We're betting on their good graces. Can we reopen and renegotiate the abatements? We should communicate something to them. They are one of the richest corporations in the world. We are a depressed community. Do they want to take advantage of that, or do they want to help this community move forward? Their original motto was don't be evil. That's no longer their motto. I think we need to remind them of that. Some of us, in fact, do welcome to our community. There are issues, clearly. Does the good outweigh the bad? Time will tell. But it does raise the question, can we do better? Now that we know who the end user is, can we do better? And if it's not you all who negotiated the abatement, who did? Who can do this? How did LaPorte renegotiate their terms of the abatement for the Microsoft data center? So again, I think you've caught a lot of unfair criticism, honestly, on this subject, since they didn't need approval to do what they're doing. I think people don't understand that. They are, in fact, cleaning up to some degree a Superfund site. I think 80% is better than what it was. Hopefully we can get even better. We have people who are very interested in that being done better. But can we do better as a community? Can we convince Google to be a better corporate neighbor to this community? I don't want to be bought off with $50,000. Sorry, I want millions of dollars. An $850 development at a 3% tax rate, I can't do the math offhand while I'm talking, but that's a whole lot of money. And this community needs it. And I hope that we can write some letter of support, or all of us combined, get our voice behind a communication to Google and ask them to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. This is last call for public comments. Do we have anyone online? There's no one online. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilman Prisbalinski.
Yeah, Madam President, at the last council meeting, I had directed our council attorney, Jewel Harris, to contact IDEM about the soil sample that hasn't been received yet, and getting the analytical work done on it to see if it's contaminated or not. And Mr. Snow did the footwork, and what we got here, it's basically a request for public record right now. And it says, please provide the analytical information obtained for the additional characterization sampling requested by IDEM for the soils excavated from 402 Royal Road property that have been sent off site or will be used on site for proposed site sound berms. And this information should be submitted by March 1st, 2026. And the sampling is to be conducted in accordance with the approved conditions, soil sampling and management plan authorized by IDEM back in 2025. So as of now, we haven't received any information back and do not know if Phoenix has submitted that soil sample yet. But we will stay with this and get an answer back for the residents that live in that area. And we need to know whether the soil is contaminated with benzene or it's not contaminated with benzene. And if it is contaminated with benzene, it needs to be cleaned up to the T so there's no contaminated soil out there for anything that we have to deal with. And also, and I don't know if other council members have been getting calls about, when does yard waste start? The city cleanup, what's going on, this and that. Well, I got a text this morning about neighbors down on Gardena Street, not getting their yard waste picked up. It's been sitting out there for weeks. And I know because I called the refuse department last week to try to get a confirmed date that May the 4th, and that came directly from the mayor's office today through an email back to me and this other gentleman, that's when the plan is to start yard waste pickup. So if anybody asks, it's May 4th. And then the mayor also said in that email is that the refuse department is putting a plan together, and that plan will be coming out shortly on what the details are with yard waste. So hopefully we'll get the communications squared away. And as Mr. Bila was saying this evening, because he had contacted me about these cleanups or the drainage ditches that need to be cleaned up and haven't been cleaned for 20 some years, that I got a hold of the sanitary district, Al Wallace. He volunteered to, because they had a consultant come in and look at all the drainage ditches. And a report is going to be made tomorrow night at the sanitary district meeting after the 4:00 meeting. Then they're going to sit down with Mr. Bila, myself. I guess if other council members want to come, that'll be fine because it'd be a public meeting. But anyway, that's going to be talked about tomorrow night. And this lady that was here tonight, Tiffany Taylor, I don't know her personally, but I know last summer I took a couple bikes over to her house. She lives on 11th Street, and I guarantee you she's for real. And what she is doing is for real. And at that time, she was paying for all these bike repairs, you know, inner tubes, seats, whatever she needed. She's paying for it out of her pocket. Well, now I heard that she's turned into a non-for-profit, and that's great because what she's doing, and she's doing all the work herself, her and her husband, and turning bikes back out into the community for kids to use, I think is fantastic. And I think she's doing a great job by doing that. And then I do have a question because it came up this evening under public comment as far as with the annexation. Okay, because when I brought up the ordinance to hook up the sewer hookup out in Long Beach, that was the big discussion about annexation, and we need to be taking in property taxes instead of just worrying about hooking up sewers out in Long Beach. And I requested that we get a meeting set up with the planning department or whoever takes care of annexation. So I'm gonna hand that over to Councilman Dabney and see what we got going with that.
That concludes.
Pardon?
Does that conclude?
Yeah, that concludes.
Councilwoman Moldenauer?
Thank you, Madam President. On a much happier note and possibly a lighter note, tomorrow's Earth Day. So it's my favorite holiday of the whole year, and I want to wish everybody a happy Earth Day tomorrow. And I'm going to go back down memory lane just for a little bit. It's back in the 1970s, and yes, I was present at the first Earth Day, and I was a member of the Earth Club at Elston High School. And I just want to mention two actions that club took that I think are worthy of mentioning, that do have a direct influence on what's happening in Michigan City today. We actually went out after Earth Day and we cleaned up Trail Creek. And at that point, Trail Creek was used as a dump. There were tires in there were boots, there was fishing line, and there was even an appliance that was so large we couldn't get it out of the creek. So I want to point out how much our waterway has gotten cleaned up here in Michigan City. We're able to recreate on it. Lots of people kayak on it, fish in it. And just in that amount of time, it has been 50 years, but it's so much better than it was. The other thing that we did as a club, as we went out and we gathered thousands of signatures on a petition, and we presented that petition at a public hearing. Here we were, high school students, 16, 17, 18 years old, but we were concerned about potential fish kills and algae growth in Lake Michigan. We, as high school students, were responsible for the cooling tower that NIPSCO had to put up when they were expanding their coal burning power plant. That was in the early 1970s. So I just want to mention that same year in 1970, the Clean Air Act was passed. Very soon after that, the Clean Water Act was passed in 1972. And I just want to mention that through executive orders at both the state and the federal levels, and also bills that are being passed at the state and federal levels, that we are on a backward trend. And we're going in the wrong direction now and not the right direction. And I'm very concerned we could go back to rivers catching on fire, or we could go back to streams, rivers, creeks. When people put their hand in and they bring it out, it's covered with muck. So I'm asking everybody to be diligent when there's calls of actions to contact your elected officials. We need to do that regardless of the party. Because if we're ignoring people because we don't think that they're going to do anything about it, then what happens is they don't. And they say, nobody contacted me about that. So we can't allow that to happen. Thank you very much, and happy Earth Day to everybody tomorrow. Do something green.
Councilwoman Lee.
Thank you, Madam President. To follow up with Mr. Przybylowski's note about the City Kids New Wave, the bike program. She does have a Facebook page, and she does have an Amazon wish list right now out where you can purchase new inner tubes and other repair supplies so that she can repair those bikes. So if you're interested, check that out. And I do want to thank everyone who came out to the Strebel Pond Spruce Up last Saturday. We had 48 people come out. We got the gazebo painted. We picked up 26 bags of trash. We cut down a whole bunch of invasive species, pulled a bunch of garlic mustard. Thanks to Dominic, if he's still here, for leading that invasive species up. And then Crystal Henderson for leading up the paint job. And then we had two different crews of firefighters come out, and I said that there was C shift, but it's not. It was A shift from Station 1 and Station 3. So we had a wonderful day. So thank you to everybody who came out there.
Thank you. Councilman Dabney.
Yes. Quickly, just want to talk about annexation and what Councilman Przybylowski said. And for years and years, what I've been talking about in terms of annexation, I've always focused on the properties, and I've always used this as an example that on the south side of 400 Kiefer Road out there, that are not a part of Michigan City, but we have already hooked those people up to our sewer and water. And I've really been concerned over the years about us not having them annexed into Michigan City so we can collect the property taxes. So that was always the angle that I came with. This whole thing with Long Beach is a different conversation. Well, it's annexation, but my point has always been properties that already have our sewer and water, but yet we're not collecting property taxes. And nothing has been done in regards to setting up some workshop or a meeting, because I have been talking with the Director of Public Works, Wendy Vache, and she has been tasked by the mayor to come up with an annexation plan. So when she does that, we will all eventually hear about it and we will set up a meeting. So it makes no sense to set up a meeting at this point and discuss something that a city official is actually putting together for all of us to review and discuss at some point. So that is why there's no meeting set up for annexation at this point. And one thing that hit close to home, I was listening to Ernie when he was talking about jobs and everything like that, and I understand his concern. And you know, the world has changed. Michigan City is not the same old manufacturing city that it used to be. As a matter of fact, if you walk all the way back to NAFTA, back in the late 90s under President Clinton, when they passed some laws, like I said, with the NAFTA agreement, where companies started to pack up, move to Mexico, move to southern states and things like that, to find beneficial, beneficial circumstances in order to run their businesses. That's where all of the companies started to leak out. It was not like there was some meeting of city officials or anything like that to say, kick these companies out of Michigan City. And then he says, bring them back. You know, the how do I want to say, the atmosphere, the environment must be what they want to operate in for them to come back. So it's not like we can go grab Whirlpool and tell them to expand and have more jobs. These are decisions made by their corporate leadership in terms of where they put their places in these jobs that he's talking about. And he mentioned, you know, somebody getting out of high school and going right to work. I see jobs out there now where they require college degrees for some very basic jobs that are out there. So the world has changed, but I understand how he feels about it, but I don't know how quickly that is ever coming back, if it's ever going to come back. So I understand his pain, but that's just the way it is. I remember when I worked at Ivy Tech here in Michigan City, I was the director of admissions, and I brought a guy over from the steel mill. And he was talking about in the 80s, they had somewhere in the neighborhood of 26,000 employees. And I hadn't worked at Ivy Tech since like 2015, 16. So the guy said to me that they were down from, like I said, 26,000 employees or so down to about 7,500 due to automation at that time. So I'm, you know, that's continuing to happen, and some of these jobs just aren't as available. So I do understand what he's saying, but it's not something that either of us are going to be able to walk in and barge, knock down the door of some company and say, "Hey, build a factory back here in Michigan City." So we have to learn how to cope with the circumstances that we're being given and move forward as a city. And I think that's what we're trying to do. So I'll conclude my comments on that. I have a couple other things, but Tracy will be wrapping me up here in a second. So thank you for your time. Look at her looking at me. If looks get killed.
Are there any other council comments? If there are none, may I please entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'm going this way.
Have a good evening.